This is the Padres POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Diego Padres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Padre fan, and welcome to your Padres POSTCAST right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. You know the man. I don't know which side of mine he's on, but whatever side I think he's on, you're right. That's Javier Reyes, and of course, he is the host of your Locked On Padres podcast, which he's been doing since before the pandemic, day in and day out, right here on the same platform where you get the postcast. That means YouTube live right after the games. And of course, you get Roku and you get the audio version, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean, all the above, and you get it free every single time. Javi day to day, myself after the games, and yeah, we're ready to rock. The Padres with a day-night doubleheader in Philadelphia after yesterday's rain postponement, and they split it thanks to Nick Pivetta and a timely hit from Manny Machado with a bunch of free passes with the bases loaded, 3 of them in one game, which they need because they can't hit with runners in scoring position. I'm Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. We're just about to get it going. Your Padres postcast in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for being here and being such a huge part of the network, making us your first watch or listen. Javier and myself, we share the numbers, which means we share you, which means we're all a big family. So come on in, smash that subscribe. The rising tide lifting all boats. Of course, hit that bell so you get alerts when either one of us comes your way with a new show. Come on in and say what's up in the comments, in the chat. Look, if you're not live, you can't do that right now, but you can always leave a question in the mailbag, or you can do it, of course, and we'll get back to you whenever we can. One more thing before we kick it into overdrive, and that is to let you know that today's episode of Padres Postcast is brought to you by Monarch Money. That's right. Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money so you have more money to spend at Petco. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Jim Greasehaber, Javier Reyes, right here with Padres Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Let's get it going, Javi, and we will do that right after this.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, StreamYard doesn't always cooperate with the plans, Javi, but it's great to see you again. Great to talk to you. I know the episodes have been cranking out day in and day out. You started off a little sick this summer, but you're making up for it, man, with a ton of episodes, ton of work. And this team, you know what I mean? They don't make it easy day in and day out. Thank God for Nick Pivetta, by the way. They win the opener 6-4. Manny Machado with the 3-run double with the bases loaded. In the nightcap, Christopher Sanchez shuts them down. They just cannot hit the ball with runners in scoring position. And, Kepler had the big day offensively for the Phillies. But, Javi, even in the win in the opener, the Padres still unable to get those big hits in key situations with runners on base.
It's been the tail all year, right? They just don't have enough slug. And while meat and potatoes is great, it's just unfortunate with both Tatis and Merrill. We love them, but they just haven't been able to be, I think, like the level of superstar that the team needs. Instead, they've just been really good players that every team would want. But for the way this team is constructed, they need a lot more. And I think that, though, in terms of like what I'll be talking about, I will say, kind of annoying how easy they made it for Christopher Sanchez, I think, in game 2. I think that would be
pitches, you mean? Stuff like that?
Swinging at a lot of first pitches. This is a lefty. And don't get me wrong, he is a very good pitcher. He's probably going to be an all-star. Those were announced, by the way, today. That's probably going to be what happens, right? But overall, I look at this and I say, this guy's in the 7th inning and he just reached 70 pitches. That's quite bad. And the Padres as a team, they haven't been the worst in baseball against lefties, but they have certainly not been very good against them. I believe they're like 19th or 17th in batting average, WRC plus, the usual metrics. And they just couldn't get it done. You know what I mean? Despite the fact that Dylan Cease is the starter, so everyone's going to talk about that and how they just cannot win whenever he starts. He's been really bad this year, but man,
Javi. He goes from really great to really bad, sometimes inning by inning, sometimes hitter by hitter. He goes from unhittable, striking out 10 guys. I mean, you know how hard it is to strike out 10 hitters in a Major League Baseball game? He goes from that kind of stuff dominant, outstanding. And we saw it last year, 4th in the Cy Young voting when King was 8th, right? You come into the season, they pick King to be the ace. And if you really know the team, as they do if they watch you and listen to you every day, King's the ace, right? But Cease was right there, 1A and 1B, and it has been anything but that for him this year. So thank God, Javi, for Nick Pivetta and what he did in the opener today. I mean, look, he's 1 win shy of his career high. Philly fans are going, where was this when you were here all that time, right?
Yeah.
But he's long gone from Philadelphia, and just over $4 million this year. It goes up to about $13 million next year. That the
maybe
Padres are
17. I could be wrong about
steal,
that. But
either number, it's a steal.
Yeah, still. I mean, he's been really good, and based on how he's been this year, whatever it raises to next year is what he might have gotten depending on if he was a free agent next year, right? So I think it ends up being the correct value. You got him at a discount this year, and then it is, it's $20 million next year, actually. Then it becomes, there's like an opt-out for, it's this weird contract that they finagled, right? Shout out AJ Preller. There's an opt-out after next year for 14 and then 18 the year after that. So it's a little bit weird, but bottom line is it's not like a long-term deal like some of the other pitchers that got signed this offseason, and he's been great. And I think that while Dylan Cease is still a guy that I imagine is going to get paid a lot in the offseason, for sure, it's frustrating. The reverse contract year. It doesn't always happen this way, right? Like, this is not something that happens too much. Gleyber Torres last year, the Yankees. I think, who was it? There was some other guy that, Carlos Correa was bad during one of his contract years, I'm pretty sure. Like, it's just unfortunate. Like, you would think, okay, we're probably not going to have him after the year, but hey, he's motivated. He's got the contract thing, and he's just, maybe it's a little fluky, but he's given up every lead. Now, today was only 1 run. It was only 1 run lead. But even still, every single time he pitches, he always looks good to start, man. 3 innings, and then he just gets hit. And it's like, today he gave up 8 hits, so it can't just be attributed to just 1 mistake, right? Or 1 or 2 mistakes with the 2 home runs given up.
8 hits.
Instead, it was a lot. He just has that inning.
A lot of home runs, too.
Welcome back. He's
giving up a lot of home runs, Javier. Way too many home runs, too.
Yeah.
And with stuff like he has, he's leaving fastballs over the middle, and that's inexcusable. I mean, look, I know you too, you get a lot more than I do. And by the way, smash that subscribe, hit the bell, come on in, ask a question of Javier Reyes. Now's your chance. He's here on the show. Padres Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. We're free. So is the podcast day by day. We're on after the games, and we're tag teaming it. So for all of you in the beginning of the year, we're like, hey, where's Javi? We are sharing. Sharing is caring, and the numbers keep on rising. We have comments coming in. We'll get to them, Javi. But you talked about the plate discipline, right? Because it's always a tale of pitchers in Major League Baseball, and the bullpen's been fantastic this year. Suarez has had his meltdowns, and he concerns me down the stretch. Adam hasn't been completely lights out, but man, Morejon's been great. Estrada, the middle relief has been fantastic. It's really been the offense that has been the issue this year with the Padres. Thank you. San Diego-ish says they love the combo. Javi, in the comments, if you want to have yourself heard live on YouTube right now, you hop on in as well. But you touched on the plate discipline, and I go crazy about this all the time. And keep in mind, every time I ever touched the bat and played in a baseball game, I swung at the first pitch. But I never played in the major leagues, So when 2 things with the Padres. One, and I want to get to the plate discipline. The first one is I'm amazed at how many of their pitchers throw first pitch fastballs right down the middle to dead red fastball hitters and get crushed for it, and they don't fix it in the scouting report. That's kind of an aside comment. The real thing I wanted to get to, because you talked about this, is they walked 3 times with the bases. I almost had a heart attack. 3 times with the bases loaded, they drew walks, which is not what they do. The patience that they show, they're capable, these hitters. Fernando and Merrill, and these guys are extreme. They're the 2 who walked with the bases loaded. They're extremely capable of that plate discipline that you talked about, but they don't always use it, Javi. They don't always use it. They were lucky to get those 3 walks from a guy who never walks anybody. In Abel, he walked in 3 runs, and Manny, got the big double. But sometimes you see those professional at-bats where they take a ton of pitches and they wear the pitchers down, and sometimes they just get themselves out. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and there's a couple players that are like that, right? Like Luis Arraez and Jackson Merrill, the former more negatively, but Jackson Merrill, now his walk rate is up a little bit this year, but he's a batted ball guy, and that's fine. I mean, we love Merrill, and I think he's so talented that he could get better at walking over the course of his career. And then you have Arraez, who is not hitting enough to outweigh his lack of power, speed, and defense. He's a 290 hitter, which is not bad whatsoever. But if it's only singles, that becomes a situation where like we just need more.
Not
from
great
him.
for him.
And,
yeah,
and that's the thing
batting champ.
If he doesn't walk, like then it becomes this guy who's swinging at these pitches sometimes that are frustrating. I keep coming back to, I think it was the Angels game in which Tatis was up, he got a single and he was going to try and steal second and potentially walk off the game. And Luis Arraez swings at like a pitch outside the zone, right? Like they just don't have the right discipline. And I am wondering if at some point people are going to say, hey man, do we need a new hitting coach? I think it could be that.
I've been on
part
him.
of it.
I've been saying that it has to be. They need a new hitting coach. I mean, Barry Bonds is out there. I'm gonna say it, man. The greatest hitter of all time. I know he's a giant. He's out there, man. Who cares if he's a jerk? Hit the ball.
That'd be pretty funny.
Victor Martinez. They're not getting they have 3 hitting coaches. They have 2 assistants. They're not getting the job done. They are not getting the job done. And Javi, I have to ask you about this because it's been a long time now. And Merrill's had the injuries, had the super hot start, but what happened to Fernando, man? I mean, I can't remember. You've been doing this with the Padres a lot longer than I have. I struggle to remember a point in time during which he was this bad for this long. And he still wins games. He still gets on base. He still takes the extra base. He'll still steal bags. He's still great in the field. So it's less noticeable when he's struggling the way that he is because he still factors in the box score. But he's been bad, man. After that torrid start, he has not been good.
And you're right about that, right? In April, his OPS was 986. May, it was 626. And so far through June, or sorry, not so far, now that we're in July, it was 706, right? There's a couple things with this. I think that because if you look on Baseball Savant, right, the guy hits the ball as hard as anybody, right? He is not someone who strikes out too much, certainly not, especially this year. He draws a walk. His batting average, expected batting average, he gets a little bit unlucky. But I want to point towards a stat called weighted on base, which I think it measures the value of each hit. So instead of just giving you upping your batting average points for a double, it's like, well, I'm taking into account that it was a double, it was extra bases, right? What's interesting about Tatis is for the last 3 seasons, his weighted on base has trailed his expected, which usually suggests that he's getting unlucky. But if it's the 3rd year in a row that your real life stats are underperforming what the expected stats are saying, that to me is not just a fluke. Right? You can't just chalk that up to just being a fluke. I don't know what it is. And it's actually one of the more interesting questions around baseball right now, which is like, you should at least be better than this at the plate. You should be a 820 OPS guy, maybe 830. Maybe you're not.
He was a leading
MVP
candidate mid-April.
He was incredible.
Yeah, he was great early in the year. And you're talking about the best leadoff man in baseball. And then Acuna comes back. And they're both unique in that slot, right? With the power and everything. So then, Schilt starts tinkering with the lineup. I think the hitting coach is first to go. I talk about it all the time. The left field platoon, Hayward, Lockridge, both gone. It was a disaster. Sheets is doing the best he can out there. He looks a little better, out there defensively.
He made one diving catch last week,
Still can't hit anything that spins. I mean, let's be real. Anything that spins, you're going to get him out. He's a great fastball hitter, but they don't just throw fastballs in the major leagues. And I don't want to – he's been great. Without him, who knows where the Padres would be. But he's not the long-term answer, Javi. And offensively, I don't know that they have the long-term answer. And real quick, before we hit the break, that's Javier Reyes, Locked On Padres podcast. You know this. This is his channel. He's the one who got this thing going and built it over the years. I'm just the new guy this year doing the postcast. But we are free on YouTube right after the games with the postcast every day, just about, with the podcast with Javi. And then, of course, we upload so you can download Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean. And you know, with OPP, of course not. I'm 53. It's OTT now, Javi. It's Roku. There is no OPP when you're 53, but thank God for Roku and OTT. And real quick from TN in the comments, I'll let you answer this before I hit the break, and then I have to do the spots because I'll do a 100-hour show, and they'll kill me. Dylan Cease, 4.67 ERA. Robert Suarez, 4.04 ERA. Michael King hurt but recovering. Arraez low, 700 OPS, first base. Even if the Padres wanted to sell, how much could they really get unless King is healthy? That's from TN. For you, I'll give that to you, Javi. You're the one day to day. You're getting it right from the man here, TN.
Should we save that for after the break, or should we go into that now?
You know what? Let's save it for after the break.
Let's save it for after the break. Let's do it.
That's Javier Reyes of Locked On Padres. We'll answer that question. And on the other side, we'll give you the turning point. We'll give you the players, the turning points, the players of the games today, and look ahead to that really important Rangers series, because I know that it's been tough. It really has. And you're looking at the Dodgers. Forget about them right now. But that wild card race, you're lumped in with everybody in the wild card race. But How long can you maintain? We'll talk about that on the other side. First, a couple of words and deals from our awesome sponsors right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Padres win the opener 6-4 and lose the nightcap 5-1 in Philadelphia, the city of universal hatred for all mankind. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. That's Javier Reyes. Moving onward with your Padres postcast. On the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And right now, get a chance to talk to you. Yeah, that's right. My skilled tradesmen, tradeswomen, tradespeople. It doesn't matter. Could be anything as long as you're skilled and you're a tradesperson, because you can get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you will find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks, just like this. Just like this. Use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com. On the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, along with Javier Reyes. And next up, I get the chance to talk to you about our friends at Monarch Money. If you've ever wished managing your money felt easier, I know I do all the time. It can be, and it is for me now that I'm with Monarch Money. So whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, hey, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track your accounts, your investments, your spending, all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Really important, right? I'll tell you, I learned when I first got with Monarch Money, surprised how much money I was spending on the food apps, ordering out, you know what I mean, being lazy instead of going to pick it up myself. They cleared it up for me real fast, and I realized, hey, I can do better here. It was instant with Monarch Money. You know what I mean? Having everything in one app makes it so easy to manage your money day to day. If you share your finances with someone, you can both be on Monarch and be on the same page. Do it all in one place. Right now is the time to do it. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year with Monarch Money on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Jim Greasehaber, I have to wait for that mic to unmute with StreamYard. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. That's Javier Reyes. He is the host of your Locked On Padres podcast, day by day, right here on the network since before COVID, building the channel. And I, of course, do the postcast right after the game, every game live on YouTube. Then after the show is done live, we upload. We're on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean. We are on Roku. So whether you want the audio, whether you want the video, you have choices. But one thing is for sure, Javi knows this from day one. It's always been the case. We are absolutely 100% free. And with that, I want to give you one more thing before Javi and I continue the show so we can just wrap it up here to the end. And that is that Locked On MLB game night. Every game, every night, all season long. Local analysis on a national scale. Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, Javier Reyes, before the break, we got the question as the Padres split in the streets of Philadelphia. 6-4, they win the opener. 5-1, they lose the nightcap. They lose 2 out of 3 in Philly, 2 out of 3 in Cincy. They just keep free falling, like Tom Petty would say. But we have a couple of comments for you. First question, C. Suarez struggling, King hurt, Arise struggling. Even if the Padres wanted to sell, how much could they really get unless King is healthy. And then Brady Duran says trade Cease and Suarez and DFA Maldonado and Diaz. I like our catchers. No one likes our catchers. Those are both for you.
You said if no one will love them, I'll love them.
They can't hit, but I love them. They're great defensively, and you know what I mean? They do a great job of managing this pitching staff. I'll say
I would disagree on Maldonado defensively. I believe he leads MLB Major League. Hold on. Wow. I can't speak. I believe he leads the league in passed balls. But I will say, you know what the problem is? In a vacuum, it's not bad having these guys on your team. I do like to put some weight into like leadership and veteran stuff. My problem is if you haven't been good in 4 years and you're this bad on the field, why aren't we just trying another guy? Is my, you know what I mean? Like, is Luis Campuzano, if you just gave him like a week and a half, is he really that much worse? Then again, every time I say that, he gets called up and he does get a hit. But
and he tears up AAA and then he comes and he can't get a hit.
Yeah. I would say that between those two, though, it's Maldonado is the one that should go, like for sure. At least Elias says, as TN commented just now, Diaz is below average, but Maldonado needs to be DFA'd. Like, I agree. He's below average, but he's like a major league catcher. Maldonado, it feels like you have not been good in 4 years. And I genuinely do not understand why I keep seeing you with like high leverage situations or runners in scoring position. He happens to be up. And I'm like, this isn't going to go well.
Yeah, it doesn't go well.
But to the original question by TN, I'm glad you brought this up because this has been my feeling for all year. And frankly, it's a thing that I don't hate when fans do it because I understand it. But one of the funnier things that fans do is when the team is bad, they say trade all the bad players. And my thing is, yeah, so here's the thing is you need someone who wants them, right? And in the case of Dylan Cease, I do think teams would want him.
Oh, without a doubt.
But
they're not going to give up a lot right now.
They're not going to give up a lot right now because maybe it's just one of those off years. And the reason they would be interested is because bottom line is he's still Dylan Cease. Like he's been good year before. And
but
I actually think that
unless he's going to resign, he's a rent-a-pitcher for them too.
He's a Boris client, right? Yeah. So if you're that team, if he's not a Boris client, you might feel a little bit more like we can maybe get him to sign an extension here. And if he's not going to, your thing is, what team right now is going to give you an asset that's worth it, especially when this is still a team that can get a wild card spot?
Right.
So
they're right in the mix.
Wouldn't you rather just be like, all right, what are we going to get? A guy who's going to slot in and be our 8th best farm prospect, in my opinion, at this point with Cease? Or would you rather be like, let's see if we make the playoffs, and if we don't, it's fine. I think the bigger thing is just not to buy really heavy at the deadline. Don't trade, DeVries and Salas, right? Like, I think that's the bigger thing. And then for Robert Suarez, same thing. Robert Suarez, I think you need to trade him before the season, right? I was worried about him heading into the season, but I still think he could be an effective guy. And lastly, Arise. I actually think Arise is kind of fascinating. I just don't think you would. I think you would get even less for him because even when he's good, he's not the most valuable player in baseball. But I do think there are teams out there that are like, maybe he's just having trouble in Petco. Bring him out of that change of scenery guy. But then again, this is a guy who's on like his 3rd team, despite winning all those batting titles. So usually that's a sign that there is some weakness and that major league teams aren't as high on him. So my thing is, it's just not worth trading. I'd rather just be like, let's keep him. And if you make it, you make it. If you don't, it's fine. Just do not buy heavy into this team. I really like Ethan Salas. We're complaining about catchers right now. Ethan Salas is grading out.
Where I was going with this. He's shut down right now with the back injury.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is concerning for a catcher too, though.
But he's so young.
And he's so young. We said it at the same time.
I talked about this with Armley on.
He's 19. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah. 19 years old.
He's younger than you.
I think people, I know, right? He's like way younger than me. He's younger than both of us. And I think that I talked about this with Armley, who's a big prospects guy. Used to host Locked On Marlins here on the Locked On Network. Big prospects guru. He's such a smart kid. And he was telling me when Ethan Salas first got called up, or I should say when he first became a prospect, he was like, I love this kid, but they are ranking him way too high. Like he should not be a top 10 prospect in baseball. And what happened? He didn't immediately produce. So then he fell down in a lot of rankings. Arm has him around 70. But his thing is he never should have been ranked that high to begin with because it was all projection based. And his thing is it's just he's too young. So give him a second. And now all of a sudden Padres fans are like, yeah, get rid of him. You can't be so high on a guy who hasn't played. And then immediately when he's not Bryce Harper, right, immediately that you're out on him. And at the very minimum, he has graded out. I'm getting on the Salas thing, but he has graded out incredible defensively. I.e., If they were to call him up now, which they should not, he would probably already be better than what they have right now, just because of the defense. And that's exciting. That means he has room to grow. And for me, I'm just like, don't get rid of the farm. You can get decent players without getting rid of too much. Guys who can just give you a 100, be an average major leaguer. And you talked about Brandon Lockridge and Jason Hayward earlier. An average major league hitter, someone who can hit like 250, have a 330 on base, you can find something like that out on the trade market, or even buy low on someone who you think could reach those numbers and not give up anything, and the difference will be huge. Whenever we're frustrated when Maldonado's up, whenever we're frustrated when Iglesias is up or when Lockridge is up, that's a huge add. You don't need a star. That's just me, though.
No, and keep in mind, Javi, too, and everybody out there, and we have more from TN, and they're not trading Suarez or Cease. They would never get back what would be termed even reasonable for either one of those guys. They just wouldn't. And they don't have the chips to really trade.
You're selling low.
Yeah, you're selling
low
because the only reason you're trading them is because they're not performing. If they were performing, you wouldn't even think about trading them. So that's never a good idea. All right, Javi, real quick, I wanted to ask you, it just slipped my mind as I'm sitting here. Arise, we talked about Arise. He moves over to first base, which is normally a power hitting position. So you don't have a power hitting player there. And you have a 3-time batting champ who doesn't like to draw walks. I'd say get rid of Cronenworth any way you can. Move Arise back to second. You could bring in a first baseman. You definitely need a left fielder. Maybe another starter with a guy like Alcantara may become available. Or, I mean, who knows? It could even be Freddie Peralta. I've read about him on the trade block. But with Schwellenbach out now for the Braves, the Dodgers have had injury problems. They throw more money than God at everything and pay him 100 years later. So Ohtani's grandkids can gamble too, allegedly. But they're going to need gambling money too, allegedly, right? I mean, so why not pay him in 100 years? That's what they do now. And it's complete jealousy and hatred. But the point being, you're not catching them. You can't spend what they spend. You're not in their league. You can't compete with them, but you can compete for a wild card and a chance to get hot in the playoffs and then beat them. That's what everybody else is doing. And I want to say before we hit the turning point and the player of the day and get out of here, Javi, is you still have 30 days, just about, not quite, until the deadline. Some teams might fall off and become sellers. Others might get hot. Remember last year, everybody was picking the Mets cupboards, and then all of a sudden they got hot and there was nobody there to take. So there's still almost a whole month of baseball to be played. Anybody on this team could get hot and change their mind. So I'd say just let it play out, and I know that's got to be what Preller's doing.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that this is just one of those things where just because it doesn't look good right now, there have been teams that haven't been that great in the first half that get better in the second half. Frankly, the Padres last year, they had like a 1 game above 500 record at this point.
Got Tanner Scott and Adam and all those guys. Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong. Like, I do think that this team has been a bit worse and likely will be worse than last year, but you can get hot, man. You know what I mean? And great point about who's could be sellers. There are teams that are decent right now that could become sellers. I wouldn't be shocked if the Cardinals sold. I wouldn't be shocked if the Brewers sold because they gave up their best closer when they were leading their division a couple years ago, and Josh Hader. So you never know what's going to happen, but I don't panic, I think is the whole thing. Don't panic unless you're like, oh, I placed $800,000 on Dylan Cease Cy Young. Then yeah, maybe you should complain in that situation. But otherwise, it's a fine team. It's fine. You know, there are much where look at the D-backs. The D-backs are having a year from hell. So Braves,
man, yeah,
the Braves
division,
the Braves are choking more than I've ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah, they're having a tough one. That's Javier Reyes, Locked On Padres podcast, day in and day out. The postcast after the game with me, Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. We're going a little long, Javi. Got to wrap it up. So first things first with the benchmarks. Let's hit the turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
And there we go, StreamYard. Okay, we're a little behind with the stream today, but I'll say this about StreamYard. Day in and day out, it's fantastic. And the Padres trying to capture some of that consistency that we saw early in the season. They split the doubleheader today. The opener 6-4, and the second game they lose 5-1. So Nick Pivetta with a great outing in the opener. Dylan Cease not so much. In the second game, what they did have in common is that the Padres still can't hit with runners in scoring position, except for Manny Machado, the starter in the All-Star game at third base. That was announced today for the National League. He ripped a 3-run double with the bags full. 3 Padres walked with the bases loaded, only 2 in that inning. 3 total in that game, and then, the nightcap, not so good. So I always go for turning point. Javi, and we have 2 games here to look at. So for the opener, I'm going Manny's bases clearing double, no brainer there. Put the game out of reach, early on, and then with the way the bullpen's been pitching. And then in the second game, man, that's a little tougher. And I always think with Dylan Cease, and this is the thing with me that, all year long I've been talking about him. He's 2 pitchers. He has a split personality. At times within the same game. And that happened again today, unfortunately, for Dylan Cease, a guy who has the capability and has done it, strike out 9-10 guys. He has that capability every outing, but has also given up way too many home runs, and that includes today, as I wait 6 months for this to load on my screen. Sorry, everybody. Here it is, and that was I just want to make sure I get the inning right. It was either the 4th or 5th inning, and I can't remember which one, but where are we at? There were a couple of them. Javi, help me out here, will you? I'm waiting for my screen to load. And I see it. Here we go. It was in the drum roll, please. 1 second. It was the bottom of the 4th, the Kepler homer that made it 2-1. Because that's what ended the game. It made it 2-1, and they lost 5-1. So the Kepler home. I couldn't remember if it was in the 4th or the 5th inning, but
I got you.
Manny's double game 1, Kepler's homer game 2 for the.
And I will say, and this isn't a shot at all, the Manny double play after they first scored. There's something that you knew this was going to be a tough pitcher, and hitting it right after Merrill brings in Tatis. Yeah, it's not as big as the Kepler home run, but just a little bit of a shot that I was like, oh man, like you were going to have to get the big hit against a guy like Sanchez. They couldn't quite there, and this is not a shot at Manny at all. He's been carrying the offense all year.
All right, here we go. Last one.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
StreamYard. Big Jim. There you go.
One more for effect. Come on, StreamYard. Just one more time, please. Man, sometimes this just happens. There be some bugs in there, Javi. But for game 1, I mean, obviously it's Pivetta. Manny gets the honorable mention for the big hit, but it's Pivetta with an outstanding performance in the opener. And again, he's 1 win shy of his career high, which of course is just 10. He's got his 9th win picked up today, and in this ball game in Philadelphia this afternoon, Pivetta was maybe his best start of the year, actually, when you look at the numbers. 6 innings, 7 hits, just 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts, no walks through 90 pitches. They could have left him in, but good job after that by Morejon. He's been great. Not so much for Hoying, who just came back, and Suarez makes it a carnival ride lately every time he comes out. And for the second game, you know what I mean? For the Padres in game 2, there was no player of the game. There's no one to give it to. Do you have anybody in game 2, Javi? Because I hate giving it to a Philly, but I will, man. Unless you have someone.
Nah, man.
No, it's got to be Sanchez. Sanchez killed him all day.
It's for Phillies. Christopher Sanchez. He's a stud.
So here's what we did. We went long. We did half of your show and our show. And we gave the audience something great today. But it's always a pleasure when you come on, man. Always a treat. You know what I mean? PIX Graphics. Yeah, it was a consolation prize. We're lost. This team sucks. WTF. That might be a good way to end the show.
Let's end it on that.
Your comments will be heard. And Javi, real quick, just let everybody know what you have coming up so they can be back here.
Everybody, you can follow me, first of all, on Twitter/X and Blue Sky at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO. And we're going to be talking with a CBS anchor tomorrow to talk about not just the games really quickly, but also might just ask him some fun questions, like one word to describe the season, and talk about Manny Machado's All-Star selection, right? We didn't talk about that too much on here because we're doing the postcast and post-game reaction, but got to talk about the Manny Man because it's great. Why not, right? So we're going to talk about that. And then potentially on Friday, we'll be doing a crossover with my friend Bryce Patrick of Locked On Rangers. So that should be a lot of fun, guys. Stay tuned.
All right, you got it. And we'll be doing these crossovers together as well. That's Javier Reyes, Locked On Padres podcast every day, right here on YouTube, of course, on Roku, and then wherever you download and listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, and Podbean, among others. And, of course, the postcast right after every game, his show, day by day. Together, we bring you the best Padres coverage in the sport. I'm biased, of course, and you can be here live on YouTube after the games and have your comments, questions, as we did tonight. Right here, you can hit the mailbag as well, and then keep subscribing. Keep that rising tide because the numbers have looked really good. And we know this team has not hit its stride yet. We know they've been struggling. And as much as we talk about that, they're still right there in the playoff race. And they are still in a position where that window is wide open in that championship chase. We'll be here all summer long with the podcast and the postcast. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, Javier Reyes. Thank you so much for being here on your Padres postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. They're off tomorrow. We'll be back Friday. First pitch is at 3:45 Pacific against the Rangers. We'll be here right after with your postcast. Until then, keep your game tight and your mind right. Special thanks again to Javier Reyes and all of you for being here. Padres postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network with me, Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, Gries, at Jim Grease _ on social media. Your team every day.